Okay, hello and welcome to the 14th video in the series. Thank you so much for watching, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So let's open up our Godot. Before we even start, I want to say that this video might be a tiny bit long because we are going to do three things in this video. The first one is we're going to add a progress bar to the enemy so that we can see when we're damaging the enemy. The second is that we're going to add the ability for the enemy to damage the player, because right now we have the ability for the player to damage the enemy but not the other way around. And then third and the last is that we are going to add a progress bar to the player so that when the enemy is damaging the player, we can see how much health is being taken and what is happening at that time. Alright, so first off, let me just increase the size of this. It's a little bit small. There we go. Okay, so first what we're going to do is that we're going to add something called a progress bar. That's why I love Godot. Everything that you're looking for, it has a very conventional name, let's just say. So let's go to the enemy. Go to the enemy here, and let's add a progress bar. Okay, that's big. Let's try to reduce the size. I don't want to see the percentage, so let's just turn this off. Let's also go to the size scale, I think it's called. I think that should be in the, let's see, layouts, transform, yes, scale. So let's use 0.2. Nice. So let's expand it, and I want it to be on top of the enemy. Yes, like here. Good. Now next would be to use our desired color for the progress bar. So let's go to our, I think it's in visibility. Yes, visibility, then modulate. So we want our progress bar to be, let's say, green. Since it's, oh, let's make it red, then we'll make the player's own green. So let's go, let's move it back, yeah, there we go. So let's just make it red. Okay, this is pink, but yeah, it's close by, it's close. So let's save it. Now let's go into our enemy code and type out the code for accessing the progress bar. So what we're going to do is that we're just going to create a variable, or let's not do it here. Let's just call a function. We'll say health bar. No, enemy. We have to be very specific. Enemy health bar. Good. Now in this enemy health bar, we're going to have a variable, and that variable will just call it enemy health, and it would be equal to our progress bar here. But instead of calling it progress bar, let's call it enemy. Same thing. Let's just say enemy health. Sorry about that. Oh, what's wrong with my spelling today? Enemy health bar. So now this enemy health will be equals to enemy health bar. So we don't have to keep referencing the actual enemy health bar. We can just keep referencing the enemy health. So after that, we'll now say our enemy health would be the value of our enemy health, which is the value of our progress bar, would be equal to the actual health of the enemy, which is called, well, health. So it'll just be equals to health. And that's about it. So let's play it and see. So when we go, what's going on? What's the error? Case mismatch. Oh, okay, I understand what's going on. So honestly, I was kind of expecting this error early on, but I don't know, sometimes it takes Godot a while to understand that this code here might be correct, but it's not very safe, because sometimes the player might not be inside the sphere of the enemy, and this code will just keeps running and running and running. So what we're going to do is that we're going to make this code to become let me say safe. So we can wrap this code in an if-else statement. So in case if the enemy is not inside the sphere, do this. If not, don't do that. So let's just clean everything. I should have solved this a while ago. So we'll just say if the player is not null, yeah, then we can do our var direction equal to the player position minus the position of the enemy. Then we will normalize it. Good. Then we would also call our velocity would be equal to the direction times the enemy speed. Then we'll call our move and slide. Else, if the enemy is actually inside, that is, the enemy is null. Yeah, sorry, if the enemy is null, then we want our velocity to be equal to our vector 2. Our vector 2 dot 0. Good. Then we'll also call move and slide. Good. So I think now we've just, all we did was that we just wrapped our the previous code in an if-else statement. So if the enemy is inside the sphere, do this. If it's not, then do this. So go to 0, like stop. So let's play it now and see. Let's go here. Please work. Uh-oh. What's going on? If the player is not null, var direction equal to player position. What seems to be the problem? Okay, so let's try something. Instead of calling move and slide twice, let's try calling it outside the function. That's when you're done with the if and when you're done with the else, you can just do move and slide. So let's just say move and slide, move and slide, and let's remove it from here and here also. So let's separate this. I think this should work. This should be the problem. Let's see. So when we go in, yes, okay, yeah, that should work. So now let's attack and see. Okay, it's attacking, but it's not reflecting in the progress bar. What could be the problem? Var enemy health, get the value. Oh, I did not call the enemy health function. I created a function, but I did not call it. So let's go to our process function here. I just write a comment. CC calling functions, and we'll paste it here. Save it. Let's play now and see. Yes, so let's go. We attack, 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 attack. Good. So now the progress bar for the enemy is now working. Alright, so next now is that we want the enemy to be able to damage the player. Now this is extremely easy. All we have to do is do the exact same thing that we did for the enemy, but this time we'll do it the other way around. We'll do it for the player. So Okay, sorry and apologies for the weird cut. I had to fix my OBS. This is the first time that I started using it. Okay, so because we have to really keep close attention here, we're going to now make the enemy to be able to damage the player. So first off, what we're going to do is that we're going to copy some code. Since we've already done it before for the enemy, all we have to do is copy the code from the enemy to the player. So let's see. In the enemy, we have this function that calls take damage and all. So we can just copy this and the die function here, copy it to our player. Good. You don't need to change the name of anything. Okay, maybe you need to change the name of this, because here we called it player health. Okay, so we change here to player health. Let's copy this, paste it here, and paste it here. Good. Then here we have the attack damage of the player. Let's also give the enemy attack damage. So var attack damage, and let's set it to also 20. Good. Has the same name. The attack damage has the same. Oh, why is there? Oh, so we already set an attack damage before. Alright, so let's just clean anyone. Good. So now we have the attack damage. Let's save it. Next, what else do we need to copy? We also need to, I think that's it. Yeah, so we just need this two. Yes, we also need to be able to call this get parents. So the first time that we called it, we got the parent from the enemy. Now we get the parent from the player. But before we do that, we have to now create area 2D for the enemy. So area 2D, like if the player should enter into this area, I want you to damage the enemy. So we have two area 2Ds. We have one that lets the enemy follow the player, and we'll have another one that damages the player. So let's go to our enemy. Let's go to our enemy. Let's add another area 2D. We'll call this one damage player area. Then we'll give it a collision. And this collision shape, we'll just make it to be a, let's make it rectangle, yeah. And we don't need to go and turn it off and turn it on. I mean, it's an enemy, so the damage area should always be turned on. Okay, so let's put one here, and you know what, let's put another one here. So whatever side that the player is facing, if the player should jump over, there's already a damage area here and here. Exactly. So maybe, yes, okay, it might need it, but maybe in the future when we add the animation for the enemy attack, we can decide to turn this on or turn it off depending on what we want to do at that time. But for now, let's just make these two sides to be turned on. Then we'll go to our damage player area. Oh yeah, collision. So it should be on the enemy layer, and you should only be able to interact with the player. Good. Now let's connect our nodes. Let's say area entered, connect to the enemy. Good. So now on enemy, on damage player area entered. Then let's now go back to our enemy, our player, and copy this whole code here. Come back to our enemy and just paste it. And remove this because we don't have player attack in here. Let's save it. So now let's go to our player and create another area 2D for the damage. And we'll just add a collision shape to this. Then we don't need to set anything here. Let's just give it a shape of, let's use a cycle for once, and let's round it like this. So anywhere around here the enemy can damage you. And let's also give it a collision, so it's on the player layer and should only be able to interact with the enemy. Good. Let's save it. Let's also put it in a group. So this would be a group of let's call it enemy can damage. Let's copy it because it's really long, but it's needed so that we can know exactly what it does. Now let's go to our our player, and if whatever enters into your sphere is in this group, I want you to call this. So now let's save it. Let's play and see. All we did was we just copied code that we'd already used for the enemy. So if we should enter into the enemy sphere, we should see like a reduction in health. Good. So you can see 80, but it's not continuous. Let's go back inside. 60. If we jump to the other side, okay, let's play it again. Let's move forward. 80. We jump to the other side. 60. We jump to the other side. It's 40. Good. So it's working perfectly. So all we need to do now is that we need the damage to be continuous. So as long as the enemy is inside that sphere, he should continue to receive damage unless he escapes it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to make use of something called a timer. So basically a timer is like a stopwatch or a clock that you can say, if this specified amount of time passes, I want you to do this, otherwise don't do this. That's all. And in classic Godot fashion, the name of the node is timer. That's all. So let's just rename it to damage clock. Or no, you know what, let's just leave it as timer, so that we can then change the name in our onReady var. So at onReady var, let's just call it damage clock. It would be equal to it will be equal to the timer. Good. Now we have a reference to our timer. Next now would be to go to our, where is it? Okay, so we have our on area entered. If this group is here, get this and then start the timer. Damage timer damage clock, sorry, dot start. I should start it. Oh, so we also need an area exited then. So let's go to our damage player, signals, area exited. Let's also connect that. And let's do the same thing. But we have to just copy this and put it here, because we also need something to happen when the player exits the damage area. So if area is in group this, you don't need to get anything. The player is just equal to null. So it's null and then stop. Okay, so it starts here, it stops here. Then we also need a signal on the timer. So when it times out, what do you want me to do? I want you to restart. I want you to restart and start giving the player damage again, and then when the player exits, stop, and then when the player enters, I want you to restart. So it's a kind of like a loop here. So all we have to just say is if the player is back into the sphere of damage, all you need to do is player I think it's called player damage, or what did I call it? Let me see, what did I call it? Okay, player dot, let's see, player dot, I think it's called take damage, and it takes wait a minute, it takes damage and it takes damage amounts. So we just paste it here, damage amounts, and I think that should be it, except if, let me see, damage amount not declared in the current scope. Oh, so that it won't be damage amount, it's attack damage then. Attack damage. Good. So now let's save it, let's play and see. So we should be getting continuous damage. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to do one very important thing, to actually set the time. So right now the timer is 1 second. So okay, you know what, 1 second is actually okay. Let's just play it and see. And let's move forward. So 80, 60, 40, 20, done. The player is now gone. Okay, so last but not the least, we also need to set a progress bar on the player. So same thing, we just go to our player progress bar, and we come to our player code. We just create a function, player health updates. Player health updates. Then we would then make a var, let's call it player health, player bar, as I say, since it's already called player health. Now the player, no, it's supposed to be equal to the progress bar here. So progress bar, now that player bar, take the value of that player bar and put it equal to the player health. Then next we'll call this function in our physics process. Save it. Now we go to our 2D and we adjust everything. We don't want this. Go to our transform, let's make it 0.2. Expand it, put it on top of the player, and let's go to our ordering, or was it visibility, modulate. So we'll just make it green. Like really green. Is this the height? I want it to be green. Where is it? Let's make it green. Good. Now let's save it. Let's play and see. So we have our health, and if we go to our enemy, damages us, damages us, damages us, and damages us. Good. Okay, so I know that we've done a lot today, but unfortunately this is the only way that I'm able to do all these three. Yeah, I think it would be not it would not be very efficient if I made separate videos for each and every one of the progress bar for the player, progress bar for the enemy. But if I put everything in one video, then I can quickly finish up this series. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.